In the United Kingdom, 40% of teenagers have experimented with drugs by the time they reach the age of 16.
And then progressed into ecstasy and cocaine and into crack.
And I eventually ended up on heroin.
So I refer it to being a slave, in a sense really, as a slave, you know, of helplessness.
To finance their drug habits, these addicts get into all kinds of criminal activities.
And then progressed into ecstasy and cocaine and into crack.
And I eventually ended up on heroin.
So I refer it to being a slave, in a sense really, as a slave, you know, of helplessness.
To finance their drug habits, these addicts get into all kinds of criminal activities.
I had been involved in all sorts of crime at a very young age. I was ran about with gangs, into gang fighting, extreme violence.
I was burgling before, I stopped doing it, but I started to burgle again. I was
addicted to heroin, and sometimes it feels like you've got no hope. You know, you're just living for that next fix.
The protection rackets I was involved in the nightclub scene.
In many cases we're seeing like young guys stolen from family, and
eventually I became a terrorist. I joined one of the paramilitary groups in Ulster.
It got to the point where I'd lost practically everything. I was sleeping rough in the ditch. I'd been in and out of the local mental hospital.
And I lost everything. I lost my pub, I lost my girl, I lost my car, I had a Porsche. I lost absolutely everything. Ended up on the streets, even lost my house. Ended up on the streets, a mugger.
My mother died when I was in prison. And I thought, well, I promised I'd do it for her. I'll make sure that her life wasn't in vain. So I'll stop taking drugs, and I couldn't. I'd say like I'm not do it for I'd do it for my daughter. I promised my daughter I wouldn't do it no more. Then a week later, I'm doing it again.
Time and time again, we see people coming. I'm going to do it for my family. I'm going to do it for my wife. I'm going to do it for this. But they don't stay the course, because that's not enough. That's only an emotional reason, you know. Unless you really get to the heart of the issue, which is like, why are you really alive? You know, what is it really all about? You know, then the drugs will just deceive you.
The world hasn't got the answer. I tried drug counsellors and psychiatrists all my life, and nothing ever worked. All they did was give you more drugs to get you off drugs. Substituted one addiction for another. But it never ever worked. I was taking that addiction plus I was topping up with the heroin. It doesn't work. The only thing that worked was Jesus Christ.
Javier Kandal now runs the Teen Challenge Drug Rehabilitation Centre in East London.
I think the most exciting thing is when we have people who have come in who have been totally broken by darkness and sin and years of drug addiction, and within a matter of days, hours, days, weeks, experience an incredible transformation. We have a bus that's inside, we've renovated it. We go and we park in a number of areas in London and just stop people in the streets and invite them to know a little bit more about God and to know a little bit more about what Teen Challenge has to offer. And for those people that have drug problems, then we can help them by offering them a place maybe in Teen Challenge.
So when I went to Javier and he started speaking to me, he believed in what he was saying. And I was intrigued by that. He said it's the truth that sets you free, the truth that makes you free, you know. And what he was saying was truth. And I was intrigued for it. I had hope. It's like the word of God is hope. When I heard what he was saying, it gave me hope that I could get out of my situation.
But I came here to make a new start, and with the love of the people around me, I'm progressing really well.
This is the Teen Challenge.
Brilliant slip. Jim, will you leave John Louise alone? You shouldn't treat a member of staff like that.
I mean, it's all done through love, I believe. But it's, you know, they don't mollycoddle us. They don't wrap us up in cotton wool, you know. It's kind of, it's like I say, a tough love.
Because I will tell you something. Every person here if they have the encouragement, if they have the love without any motive and the real father figure, they are not here. They will be successful people.
A crucial part of this program is the love and commitment of the staff during the traumatic withdrawal period.
Well, my withdrawal was really a nightmare. I was getting hot and cold flushes, and the sweat was pouring off me. I had about 3 blankets wrapped around me, but I was hot and I was cold. I couldn't take any food in. Every time I took some food, I just vomited it back up again. I felt as if my back was going to come out of my belly, and vice versa. I couldn't sleep, my legs were all full of snakes. As your central nervous system comes back, and you can hear a sound for about a mile away. If somebody goes like that, you're going through the roof. If somebody touches the back of your head, you're going through the roof. I was hallucinating every minute of the day. I couldn't sleep for 6 weeks. I never even shut my eyes for 6 weeks. It was a total nightmare. The worst experience anybody can ever have in their life, and then double it.
The success of Teen Challenge and programs like Teen Challenge is definitely based on the spiritual import. Teen Challenge has been operating since 1958, and it's one of the most successful programs in the whole world.
Train yourself to be godly. What does it mean? Okay? Paul is saying, look, I know what I'm going for. I want to become like Christ. I'm not expecting that Jesus is going to do it all for me, but I'm working with Jesus. He's come along, He's providing the power, He's given me the resources, but I still have responsibility for my own life, for the decisions I make.
When I was an addict, we lived such an undisciplined life. We get out when we want, we do what we want, we go, we get, you know what I mean? It's totally undisciplined. If we don't like something, we won't do it. If we don't want to face something, we won't face it.
I'm getting a bit better at liking myself. And if I like myself, I can like other people. And other people can like me for a change. I graduate in a week's time, and it's the first time I've ever finished anything in my whole life.
After what they have been through, it is hardly surprising that these men show such enthusiasm in their worship of God.
I believe that unless you actually encounter God, you'll always have a sense of emptiness. You'll always have a sense of rejection. You'll always be vulnerable to fear. You'll always be vulnerable to not having a purpose in your life. And until you actually encounter the living God who created the heavens and the earth, you will not have a sense of purpose. You will not have a sense of identity for which we were originally created.
If I never knew God, what I went through would be a waste. But God turns everything around, so nothing goes to waste.